Awkwardness isn't a personality trait, it's a pattern. So every awkward moment you've ever had usually comes down to a handful of habits you've learned over a long period of time. So the way you hold eye contact, the way you over-explain things when you're nervous, and the way you jump from one topic to another because silence feels scary. So fix these habits and you don't just seem less awkward. Your entire social presence becomes smoother, more confident, and way more natural. And that's exactly what I'll show you today. So 3 habits that create awkwardness and how to fix each one quickly. But real quick before we jump in, on November 28th, I'm hosting a free webinar called How to Become Dangerously Confident. It's about building the kind of confidence that actually lasts for a long period of time, that you feel on the inside and not just any fake kind. Link is in the description. Save your seat right now. Hope I get to see you there. All right, let's jump into it. Habit number 1 is your eye contact is wrong. So we're starting with the strongest one immediately because this is the one habit that people misread the fastest, and it is your eye contact is wrong. Now most people don't have bad eye contact per se, they have unbalanced eye contact, but you don't really know what to do with it. And I know this is a difficult one, like how are you supposed to look into someone's eyes? It feels awkward, it feels painful, and nobody actually teaches you how to do it. There are 2 parts to this. Too much eye contact, you stare way too intensely because you're trying to look confident. You're trying to look into their eyes because you know you're supposed to, but you have no idea how to do it. You have no idea how to balance it. So this creates predator eyes. It feels stiff, it feels unnatural, and people instantly sense something is off. You kind of look creepy, and you don't want that, right? Number 2 is too little eye contact. So you look around, you look away, you look down, you look anywhere except at the person's face. This doesn't just look shy, it makes people feel like you're disconnected or even disinterested in their experience. So research backs this up. Studies in social interaction show that people read eye contact as a measurement of confidence, trustworthiness, emotional attunement, and social awareness. A 2017 study in Journal of Nonverbal Behavior found that the sweet spot for connection is 50 to 60% eye contact during a conversation. Now more than that feels intense, less feels insecure. Most awkwardness is created right there. So the fix is something called the 50-70 rule. This is an actual research guideline used in social psychology and interpersonal communication. And it is simple. When you're talking, maintain eye contact for about 50% of the time. And when you're listening, maintain eye contact for about 70% of the time. So this balance shows confidence without staring and warmth without looking insecure. So here's how to actually do it. Hold eye contact for about 4 to 5 seconds. Not 1 second, not 10 seconds, 4 to 5 seconds. So long enough to show you're present and short enough to stay natural. And when you break eye contact, make sure to never look down. Looking down is read as insecurity, shame, social discomfort. Instead, look to the side, look slightly upwards. Not dramatically, of course, just a small natural shift. So looking sideways or up signals that you're thinking, you're processing, you're comfortable. Now when listening, maintain slightly more eye contact. So this is why this rule is 50-70. So listeners naturally show more engagement. And when speaking, let your eyes travel naturally. You start the sentence looking at them, you look away mid-thought, you come back to emphasize your point. So this rhythm mirrors confident speakers, and nobody, literally nobody, maintains perfect eye contact the whole time. It looks robotic, intense. So the 50-70 rule makes you look calm, socially aware, emotionally attuned, and confident without trying. And it removes that exact predator stare or avoidance stare at the floor awkwardness almost instantly. Awkward habit number 2 is you over-explain because you're nervous. So this one will hurt because almost everyone who struggles socially does this. So either you talk too little or you talk way too much. You start talking and suddenly you're giving way too many details. The story gets longer, your voice speeds up, you start adding background information nobody even asked for, or nobody even understands if it makes sense or not. And before you know it, you're 5 layers deep into a monologue about your uncle's dog and nobody knows why this is relevant. So people with social anxiety often experience something called communication over justification. Difficult word for me since English isn't my first language, but I managed to get it out there. So the brain tries to avoid sounding stupid, being misunderstood, or being judged. So it throws in way too many details. But here's how others perceive it. You look insecure about your point, you look unsure of what you're saying, you overwhelm the other person, and you kill the flow of your own message. People don't think, wow, they're so thorough. They think, this is a lot. What even makes sense here? What's the point? So the fix here is something called the one sentence rule. This changes everything. Now when someone asks you something, your first sentence should contain the actual answer. Clean and simple. Then stop. Wait. If they want more, they will ask for it. So when someone is over-explaining, it could sound like this. I started running because work got a bit stressful, and then my brother bought some shoes, and then we tried this thing, and then it was raining, we didn't know what to do. It doesn't even make sense. Nobody knows what the point really is. Example when using the one sentence rule can sound like this. I started running this year and it's been great for stress. Then pause. If they care, they will ask, oh really? What kind of running? What started it? How's it been going for you? Now you can expand because now they actually understand what you're talking about. So the one sentence rule works because it makes you sound very clear, calm, intentional, confident, and it turns conversations from a monologue into that actual back and forth action we want in a conversation. Habit number 3 is you switch topics way too fast, and this one is huge and barely anyone talks about it. So when you're nervous, silence feels dangerous. So the moment a topic ends, a conversation becomes stale, you jump to a new one fast. It creates this chaotic, jittery energy. Where do you live? Cool. Anyways, do you like movies? Nice. Hey, do you travel? It feels disconnected, rushed, and a little panicky. So this comes from high self-monitoring. Your brain is so focused on not being awkward that you accidentally become awkward. When you switch topics too fast, nothing lands, nothing deepens, nothing feels meaningful, and everything becomes surface level ping pong. People leave thinking, I don't even know what we talked about, because you didn't actually go into any topics. You just escaped each one. So the fix here is something called the one more question rule. Simply but insanely effective. Whenever someone says something, ask one follow-up question. That is your main focus before moving on. For example, they say, I went hiking this weekend. You say, nice, where did you go? That's the follow-up. And they say, work's been crazy this week. You say, what's been the busiest part? They say, I started learning guitar. Nice. How's it been going for you? Have you learned any songs? So this creates a bit more depth, flow, emotional connection, and real conversations. And when you've asked that one question, they will tell you something more, and you can focus on just giving one more follow-up question. So that is kind of the goal, always asking one more follow-up question, and that is how you will deepen the connection. So it stops you from looking like someone who panics every time silence appears, because you're preventing that silence from even appear. So this one rule makes you look calmer, grounded, and far less awkward. So those are the 3 awkward habits that silently make conversations so much harder. Wrong eye contact, over-explaining when you're nervous, and jumping from topic to topic way too fast. If you fix these 3, your social presence becomes more confident, smoother, and way more natural. And if you want to become really confident in conversations in any situation, join my free webinar via the link down below. It is called How to Become Dangerously Confident, and I will break down all the myths about confidence and how to build it with a real framework. Save your seat, link is in the description. I really hope I get to see you there. And if you like this type of content, I post breakdowns like this every single week, helping you become a master in communication, helping you become really confident and really socially confident especially. See you in the next video. Bye bye.